Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by DirectCaterpillar77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Throwaway Wedding Night, posted to r/TrueOffMyChest November 6, 2022. My husband got jealous over the girl he led on for years at our wedding. Oh boy. I, 25 female, got married to my husband, 24 male, we'll call him Jim, a week ago after dating for 2.5 years. Jim has a friend called Misha, 22 female, who was invited to the wedding. He and Misha have known each other since high school and were close friends, and Misha had a very obvious crush on Jim from what he and others who know them have told me. Jim told me this after I met Misha for the first time and confessed that he leaned into her crush and led her on throughout their high school years and for a little while after, before we got together because he was struggling with his mental health and he really liked her attention. He seemed genuinely guilty about all of that because he thought Misha was a nice girl and a good friend, and because he showed guilt, I didn't feel the need to bring it up or argue about it despite thinking it was a shitty thing to do. Plus, Misha is a nice girl who has never overstepped boundaries and has been nothing but kind and friendly towards me, and I now consider her a friend too. Misha moved away to the city last year and has done really well for herself, and has a long-term boyfriend who none of us have met yet. So when it came to sending wedding invites, I told her she was welcome to bring him as her +1. The first red flag came when Jim was weirdly resistant to the idea of Misha bringing her boyfriend. But he excused it on being concerned about the number of guests we invited, and the matter was dropped. When the wedding day came, Misha showed up in this beautiful dress, nothing inappropriate for a wedding, and with her boyfriend on her arm, who, I'll admit, is a very handsome guy. Think, Kit Harington type. She also lost weight and has a haircut that suits her better, and I thought she looked great. We also found out throughout the night that her boyfriend is very successful and earns more than practically anyone else who attended. Let's fucking go, Misha! Throughout the reception, I noticed Jim glaring at Misha and her boyfriend the whole time, and he was really cold and short towards her. When she came over to congratulate us and give us a gift, he was also straight up kinda rude to her boyfriend when Misha introduced us to him. When his mom, who's always known and liked Misha, mentioned that she was glad Misha found a great guy and praised her boyfriend for being so nice, Jim snapped that at least she won't be desperate and hung up on me for the rest of her life, which I thought was cruel and uncalled for, but I didn't challenge him because I didn't want to argue at my wedding despite the fact that he frankly sounded bitter. The whole thing has left an awful taste in my mouth, and I can't help but think that Jim was jealous that Misha found a guy who's honestly quite a catch, who she's clearly very in love with and is now completely over Jim. Half update. After getting some PMs from people, I decided to go through his phone while he was napping after work, and needless to say, this marriage is over. I'll post a real update when I have sorted everything out. Relevant comments. Stuck in my mind 77. It's giving bitter. Can't imagine how that must have been for you. Says a lot about his character, to be honest. OP responds, it felt a lot like watching a kid get upset at another kid for playing with a toy they personally never wanted to play with in the first place. If that makes any sense. Stuck in my mind 77 responds, I get it. But I mean, apart from this, have you never had any indication of what a shitty guy he is? I mean, like, character matters, and he lacks a lot of it. Can't imagine it being so unsettling and such a turnoff. OP responds, he's definitely always been quite insecure, but I thought it was something he was really working on and making progress with. Update, November 14th, 2022, 8 days later. Hey everyone, I'm posting this here because I said in my last post that I would update when I was able to. Pretty much the day after my original post, I got some PMs from people suggesting that I go through my husband Jim's phone to see if he and Misha were truly just friends before this, and that nothing romantic happened between them. That would explain his reaction at the wedding. He always takes a 45-minute nap after work, and so I used that as my opportunity to swipe his phone from where it was charging on his desk so that I could look through it. I've seen him put in his passcode a ton of times, so that wasn't an issue. I didn't find any texts with her, but I know that Jim goes on Instagram a lot, so I checked there too. The immediate red flag was that he'd used an app lock that required a passcode to access Instagram, but the dumbass used the same passcode that he uses to unlock his phone, so I got into that right away. It's his birth year, go figure. And what would you know? I go to his messages with Misha and find messages from him the morning after our wedding, telling her how beautiful she'd looked that night, how much he'd missed her, how he felt that her boyfriend being there spoiled the opportunity to catch up with her, and that he was desperate to meet up with her. Misha never replied to these messages, and he sent some more to her later that day. I won't get into what he said because they were very personal insults that were frankly just gross. Oh, so he nice guy snapped. But just think about the kind of stuff you would read on that oh, god damn it. That's embarrassing. I'll leave that in. I won't get into what he said because they were very personal insults that were frankly just gross. But just think about the kind of stuff you would read on that nice guys subreddit. Misha left him on red, and when I clicked on her account, it appears that she blocked him. I scrolled through their messages quite far back, and I believe nothing romantic has happened between them. I wish that was all, but looking into his other conversations on Instagram, I found that he's been messaging other girls on there. They seemed like aspiring Instagram model types from our area. Most of these conversations were just him shooting a shot and getting left on red. But others had evolved into flirting, and 2 of them resulted in sexting. And the most embarrassing part of it all, the nudes he was sending to these women weren't even of him. Like, I know what his body looks like, and he doesn't have chiseled abs, and isn't that well endowed. I think he must have found a man's profile on some adult website and used those pictures, just cropping the face out. These 2 conversations happened in the last 6 months. I ended up texting his mom and his brother from my phone, asking them to come and pick him up from the apartment, and then I went to wake him up. I told him that I knew about the girls he was messaging on Instagram, that he needed to pack a bag and get the hell out before I started throwing his stuff out onto the street and causing a scene. He started crying and begging me not to kick him out and swore that they were just messages and that he would never actually cheat on me, but I don't believe him for a second. Then, he had the nerve to tell me that he didn't want me to tell anyone else about what he'd done, but I had left the room and started ignoring him by that point. He left with his mom and brother and is staying there from what I know. I've blocked him on everything for the time being until I'm ready to tell him that I'm seeking annulment. Thankfully, where I'm from, you can get one almost no questions asked as long as you haven't been married for longer than 30 days, and I've already looked into the process. I haven't really left my apartment at all this week, and I've been calling in sick to work because I don't feel like I can face people. I'm just so embarrassed that I've wasted over 2 years on this man and that I married him in the first place. I don't feel like I can even talk to people about this, so posting here has helped, and I'd like to thank you all for your kind words, advice, and support. I might reach out to Misha when the dust is settled, but I think I'll need to build up some courage for that. New update. An update to let you know how I am. March 15th, 2023, 4 months later. Hello everyone, I just thought I'd give an update to my situation since I still get messages of support on here every week or so. You'll be glad to hear that I was able to get the annulment and I didn't have to go through a messy divorce with Jim. I struck an agreement with him that I wouldn't tell a soul about his cheating or what happened with Misha, and would leave him alone forever if he agreed to the annulment and got it over quickly. I did end up sticking my end of the bargain, but it ended up not mattering because it turns out his brother is quite the gossip and let the cat out of the bag over Christmas after getting into an argument with Jim while drunk. A lot of Jim's family were pissed and asked for the money they contributed to his half of the wedding fund back, and some of our mutual friends have cut contact with him. A couple of our friends plastered everything on Facebook and humiliated him. It was interesting to watch the back and forth between them and Jim, honestly. I lived in our apartment and covered the rent on my own while he lived at his parents' until the lease ended back in January, and I'm now living with my dad, and I plan to stay here for a while and take things easy. In January, I also tried reaching out to Misha via texting, asking if she'd like to meet up for coffee to talk about anything. I never got a response directly from her, but a few days later, I got a call from her number, and it was her boyfriend on the other end. He said they were both sorry for what had happened to me, and that they hope I'm doing well. But that Misha thought it was best to cease any contact as this whole ordeal had made her anxiety and mental health problems spiral, and had landed her back in therapy. I did ask why she never told me that Jim had messaged her the day after the wedding, and Her boyfriend confessed that he advised her not to get involved, and his direct words were, "I'm sorry to sound rude, but it's not her circus." I am a little disappointed that she doesn't want to talk to me, but I get where she's coming from, and I can't force her to do anything. To be honest, I think she's been looking for a way to divorce herself from her hometown and the people she and Jim knew back in high school for a while now. As for me, I'm also in therapy, as I want to sort through these feelings and get back to feeling good about myself again before I even think about entering the dating scene again. I've also been firm about ending friendships with anyone who's taken Jim's side, as I don't want him finding his way into my life again. So far, he stayed away from me and hasn't tried to contact me, although his mom reached out over Christmas to ask me if there was any chance I might forgive Jim and take him back, as, in her opinion, you two are just meant to be together. I didn't respond to her and I blocked her on pretty much everything now too. Thank you again for all your kind words and support. I'm certain leaving that asshole would have been harder for me had I not had hundreds of comments backing me up. Yeah, fuck Jim. All my homies hate Jim. Real quick though, as kind of a final ending note, because this one's pretty cut and dry as to what all fucking happened here and that Jim is just awful. And of course, wishing Misha the best and OP the best over the past few years. If you ever find yourself in a situation where someone who you trusted, whether it was you fell in love with them or they were a friend of yours, and you found out they've been wearing a mask, they're not who you thought they were or who they pretended to be, don't hesitate to try and reopen those doors of communication with people that you may have allowed them to isolate you from, or to be honest with those around you of what happened to you. Because again, kind of like what OP brought up, it's not worth keeping around people who take the side of the masked individual that you don't recognize. It's always better to be upfront and gauge how people are around you and see who's actually worth maintaining within your life if you want to actually cut that drama out. But it's also incredibly important to make decisions at a pace where it's not only safe for you, but safe for your mental health. You don't want to make any rash decisions that might open up doors down the line that could hurt you or cause future problems. Take things at a pace that's good for you, and if you are mentally ready to cut those out, or you are prepared for the consequences that might come from both your safety, your health, then take that. And don't be afraid to talk with those around you. If you have a support system, don't feel embarrassed to reach out to them. It's better to have short-term embarrassment than long-term pain. Speaking from experience on that one. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Satan is not a pogo stick." This was posted to r/legal advice August 21st, 2015, posted by user, "Can they really do this? Company car I was driving was hit by a drunk driver. Insurance fully paid for the car, but the company says I owe them $40,000. I was on my way home from work in my company car when I was hit almost head on by a drunk driver. He was found at fault by the police and the insurance company and was charged and convicted. His insurance settled with the company and gave them a payout to replace the car, which the company lawyer accepted. I'm still off work recovering from my injuries and I probably won't be back for 3 more months. Last month, I received a letter from the company stating that I owed them the cost of the car because I was the one responsible for it, when it was totaled and written off. I thought it was a mistake or something, so I called the insurance company, got written confirmation of the settlement, and sent it into them with a note that the car had already been paid off by the insurance company. Now, they've sent me to a collection agency, and I have debt collectors calling saying I owe $40,000. I live in California. Do I call the insurance company to let them know, or do I need to get a lawyer? Is calling the debt collector even legal? Sorry if these questions are stupid, but I'm already stressed enough from trying to recover, and this has just made it worse. Relevant comments. Apexian. Try making some phone calls to your employer and the insurance company to see if you can get things straightened out quickly. But if you hit a brick wall, it's time to get an attorney involved. Don't let this go too long. OP responds, "My employer tells me I have to talk to the debt collector since it's in their hands now. I'll call the insurance company first thing Monday morning to see what they say." Apexian responds, "It sounds like maybe you work for a pretty large company. You might need to climb the chain of command to speak with someone who has more familiarity with these issues. Your own employer should not be trying to collect a debt from you, whether directly or through a debt collection agency. The insurance company represents your employer, so they will probably be of limited assistance. More than likely, you'll need the help of an attorney to cut through this red tape." Edit. "Oh, Wait, who is the original creditor that turned over the debt to the collection agency? Your employer or the insurance company? OP responds, the drunk driver's insurance company paid them $40,000 as a settlement to replace the car. This was accepted by the company lawyer in a letter and payment was sent. My company is the one that sent me to the collection agency. Apexian responds, got it. Yeah, it sounds like someone at your employer screwed up. You need to work your way up the chain to find the person who can rescind this decision to send it to the collectors. The insurance company might be able to give you some leverage, documentation/contact info. Update, October 1st, 2015, 2 months later. Original post here. The too long didn't read version is that I was almost killed by a drunk driver while I was driving a company car. His insurance paid the blue book value of $40,000 to the company, but I was sent to collections and told that I owed them $40,000 for the car because I didn't return it to them in the condition they gave it to me. No one at the company or the collection agency would help me, and they just sent me back and forth. Company told me to talk to collections told me to talk to the company. So I ended up getting a lawyer because the stress of being hounded by collections was setting back my recovery. The lawyer sent a very strongly worded letter to someone high up that I couldn't reach myself because I kept getting the runaround. The person didn't know anything about it, and the company launched an investigation. 3 people who kept giving me the runaround ended up being charged with fraud and a bunch of other stuff. I don't know much, but the police say they have emails and they think the 3 were planning on keeping the payment for themselves since the company was already paid. They are also in trouble for fraudulently using company resources to send me to collections for a fake debt. Afterward, my company wrote me a letter of apology. They paid the cost for my lawyer and made sure the debt was removed from my record. They also made a donation to a charity of my choice. I am nearly ready to return to work, but they told me to take as much time as I need. After talking with the police, I believe the higher-ups were not aware because the police say the 3 were trying to keep it a secret. The drunk driver's insurance is paying all my bills related to the incident, so I won't have debt from this, ever. All in all, I am doing much better. I would like to thank r/legal advice and everyone who offered advice and encouragement and sent me supportive messages. You were all so helpful, and I appreciate it. So, by the sounds of this, my guess would be is that what was happening was that these 3 higher-ups were actually doing this to more than just one person. Because $40,000 split 3 ways, that's like 13.3K repeating. That's not a lot of money for a higher-up exec to risk going to prison for. So it makes sense that they had been doing this to a lot of people, giving a lot of lower employees the runabout. Anytime a truck or company car wasn't returned in perfect condition, no matter what the circumstances, they would just simply send it immediately to collections, with no communications whatsoever between them and the employee, and just hope that collections would do the rest of the work. Because oftentimes in circumstances like this, they sell the debt to the debt collectors for an instant payout, then the debt collectors are the ones responsible for trying to get that money from the person. Which that also makes a lot of sense as to why it was so fucking quickly sent to a debt collection agency. And unfortunately, my guess would be is that these 3 have been doing this for so long that they've realized that they can just give the lower employees a runaround by having them play back and forth with the debt collection agency of them, and eventually, they'll just give in. Pay the amount to the debt collectors at a lower rate, they get a payout, and this whole thing gets swept under the rug. They probably just assume that blue-collar workers wouldn't be smart enough to get a lawyer involved in this instance. And by the company's reaction, this was very much a, please don't fucking sue us, reaction. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983, and their tagline is, it dawned on me that he was a wizard. The original OP is u/explanation crazy 5463 posted to r/trueoffmychest February 9th, 2025. My 8-year-old son hates me, and I don't understand why. I used to believe that your relationship with your children was a given. To clarify, I believe that as long as you treated your children with love, they were guaranteed to love you back, and that the most you had to worry about if you did the right things was some kind of terrible illness or accident that ended them early. I'm here today to warn you that's not true. There are worse possible outcomes. My son is 8 years old, and I cannot be in the same room as him without being attacked. He will scratch, hit, and bite me constantly until we are separated. He bites as hard as he can. My arms are 50% bruises right now from partially healed wounds. I have done nothing to deserve this, and I've tried everything to reach him. I've tried love, discipline, ignoring him, reasoning. Nothing sticks, and as the years have gone on, it's only gotten worse. He's already in therapy. We've already tried to get him diagnosed with something. We've tried meds. We've tried no meds. We don't know what's going on, nor does his therapist or doctors. On Thursday, I watched a movie. About time. Very bittersweet movie about how time is limited and we need to enjoy it best we can. There's a scene where a boy of about 8 is playing on the beach with his father for the last time, enjoying one last beautiful day together. I absolutely lost it. My son only communicates with me through violence. Last night, I finally gave up. I cried for hours and let go of any expectation I had of having a loving relationship with him. He's 8 years old and hates my guts. There are worse outcomes than outliving your children. Please don't take your loved ones for granted. Edit. Thank you to everyone for the advice. Special shout out to the super weirdo anti-natalist, particularly the feminist who made super sure to tell me that she was a feminist before telling me to have a post-birth abortion. No single comment made me realize how ahead of the game I am as a parent than that one. We're getting a second psych evaluation soon. I'll write a second post with results of that. Many of you are absolutely convinced someone else is abusing him and are unwilling to accept evidence to the contrary. There is no sign of anyone in his life abusing him, nor is there much opportunity. When he's not at school, he's with us, save for a few rare occasions where we get a trusted, close family babysitter to go on a date. We've asked him if anyone is hurting him or touching him, and he has said no. And we make sure both our kids understand what's important and know they should tell us if anyone tries anything like that. This is the least likely possibility. Edit, I've created a follow-up post for those who are invested. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. How is the relationship between your son and his mother? OP responds, mostly normal, except the added strain of how he treats me. We have a healthy, loving marriage and a daughter as well. Everything outside my son is as you'd expect. Commenter 2. I've read something similar before. Is it possible that on some level your son either sees you as a threat to his relationship with his mother or is jealous of your relationship with her and is therefore attacking you to get you to step away? I remember reading about a young boy who was feral to his father because he felt some need to protect his mother and couldn't stand that anyone else would love her. He was violent towards his sibling too. I really wish I could remember where I read it. OP responds, this is a possible theory, just one of many. We have no particular reason to believe this over any other theory. Commenter 3. Real question, how is he with animals? The way you describe his behavior seems antisocial at minimum. If he's violent with you and callous about animals, there could be a touch of sociopathy or psychopathy at play. And at 8 years old, chances are, he's not opening up to his therapist about his issues. He's probably giving a lot of, I don't know, answers when asked questions, which is how kids react when they think they're in trouble for their behavior. OP responds, he definitely doesn't open up about why he does anything. No signs of violence towards anyone or anything other than me. How is OP's son at school? Any issues appearing? OP, we just had a yearly meeting with his special needs team at school. They had only good things to say. No indication of bullying. He loves friends and people. Except one. Has there been any other explanations for OP's son's behaviors? OP, as I mentioned, we have taken him to several places. He's diagnosed with ADHD. We have told them ADHD isn't the wild story, but they seem stumped. We will keep trying. He may be on the spectrum, seems to have anxiety and sensory processing issues, but doctors aren't diagnosing him with anything other than ADHD so far. I wasn't a perfect child, but I'm neurologically typical. Commenter 4. 1. What age did this start? 2. Does he physically attack anyone else besides you? 3. Does he attack you when you're alone, when you are with family, and when you are in public? 4. Do the two of you ever have normal interactions, morning, midday, or night? For example, if you were driving somewhere in a car, would he literally be attacking you while you were driving? 5. Has he seen a psychiatrist or a psychologist? OP responds, 1. 5 years old. 2. He doesn't attack anyone else besides me. 3. Yes, he does attack me while alone, with family, but not when we're in public. 4. Normal interactions are very rare. It's been months. He'll attack me while driving, typically throwing things at me. We've told him it's dangerous and can cause an accident. And then we did get into an accident over the summer, and he stopped. The accident was the other driver's fault, not our son's. 5. Yes, he has seen a psychiatrist and a psychologist. Commenter 5. 1. How old is your daughter? How does she respond when he's violent? 2. How old was he when this started? 3. Inpatient treatment possible? This cannot continue and will probably get worse if he gets bigger. Eventually, he will be able to take you out. OP responds. 1. She is 5. She will come for me almost daily. Honestly, I don't know what she does when he's acting up. I'm focused on not bleeding. 2. He was 5 when it started. At first, it was just throwing things at walls. Then there was a time where he just hated me, but wasn't attacking me. Now it's directed at me, rather than the walls. 3. I'm not sure we're quite ready for inpatient treatment, but that's starting to enter the conversation. Update, May 13th, 2025, 3 months later. Hello, some of you folks asked for an update when I first posted, including some who seemed to feel lost in a similar situation. I'd like to thank the insane people on my last post who told me to give up on my son. The laughs were therapeutic, and also please never have kids of your own. We took him to get evaluated again, as it was pretty clear what we were dealing with was more than just ADHD. It took us a while to find a place we thought would do it right this time. Then it took some more time to get a slot, but today we got the official diagnosis. He has the ADHD and a severe version of it, but he's also mildly autistic. On top of this, he has high anxiety and signs of depression. Some of you were suggesting pandas and ODD, and he does seem to have some of those symptoms, but like the autism, there are things about him that don't fit those diagnoses. There are things about him that aren't typical of autism. For instance, he loves being social. These inconsistencies and the fact that he was younger and had severe ADHD, which masked the autism, made an autism diagnosis difficult at the time. So, why does he hate me? As best I understand it so far, this is what happened. When he was halfway into kindergarten is when it started. His disabilities caused him to struggle as compared to his peers, which led to feelings of inadequacy. Being 5, he didn't have the tools to handle that. So, he began coming home from school and destroying the house as a way to express his feelings. We would try to reason with him patiently, but he wouldn't hear it. We tried many other ways of helping him. But the house was getting destroyed, and the only thing that would get him to stop would be sharp, loud commands from my scary male voice. Stop that! So, that's what I would do every time he started acting up, because that's what worked. What I was doing, though I didn't know it, was using his anxiety to scare him into behaving better. As time went on and I continue this, I became this scary figure in his life to be feared. The anxiety built until it became a complicated hate. So, where are we now? He doesn't attack me on sight, usually, which is an improvement. But when I come home from work, he often wants to be alone in his room now. When we go out in public, things are better, but at home the anxiety he attaches to me is still present, though not as intense. How did I fix it? First, I stayed away. I let things chill out for a few weeks, and when he would attack me, instead of getting angry and punishing him, defending myself by shoving him off me, I remained calm and had my wife correct him instead. Then I decided to talk to him about all of this. I knew that going to his room meant immediate bleeding on my part, so I would armor up in a winter coat and gloves, enter his room, and calmly fend his attacks off. It would end with me restraining him on the floor and just talking to him about his behavior, and why it led to my behavior, and why I never meant to be scary, but I had to be scary to stop the madness. This had a bit of a positive effect, but it took me a long time. I did this routine for weeks without much progress. He would attack me, I would restrain him, I would talk and ask him to open up, and he would be silent. Then I finally found something that clicked. I told him I loved him and always would, and that I thought he was a special and talented kid and that I would always be proud of him. He cried in my arms and got angry and wanted me to stop, but I pushed through. So then, for a couple of weeks, I kept letting him know that over time his reaction to it became normalized, which is how I knew he really believed and understood it. Now, we have a routine I call daddy therapy time, and when I come into his room and say, let's talk, he gets straight like a pencil on his bed and I kinda compress him into the bed, and his head hangs off, which he likes for some reason. He has been opening up gradually and actually talking instead of just me talking. Some days are still hard and he still takes everything out on me, but that's okay. Better me than anyone else. That's my job. I still get bit and scratched, but less often now. And I think things will continue to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. For you overwhelmed parents out there, keep trying. There is hope. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Highly recommend getting your son a weighted blanket. The right weight is 10% of his weight. These help autistic folks due to the compression. It helps them sleep, soothes anxiety, and has been a saving tool of a friend. Nothing worked for him to sleep properly his whole life. Then he got a weighted blanket and slept all night for the first time in decades. Maybe ever, he's unsure. He told me it greatly relieved his anxiety and doesn't worry about many things that happen anymore. Best of his continued success and joy for your family. OP, thanks for the tip. We did get him a weighted blanket, but he doesn't like it. Commenter 2. If weighted things are a no, maybe a light blanket was something he loves on it? You mentioned he likes to lay with his head hanging off the bed. Maybe he would really like a sensory swing. OP responds, I'll look into his swing. That's new to me. Commenter 3. You unintentionally became a weighted blanket for him. That's very funny and very cute. Haha. OP responds, yeah, and I guess the head hanging over the bed is a form of therapy too. All I knew was that that's what he wanted and it seemed to work, so I just kinda accidentally came up with it. This both stressed me out but also gave me a ton of relief for a ton of reasons, and I think this one was definitely one that was worth including on the channel. There is a comment by I Will Have Geese that I think is very, very, very worth including. Let this be a PSA for everyone. Be extremely discerning when picking out a place to get psychological testing done. And then, get another round done at another place if your kid/you are not improving, or if you're at all doubtful of the results. The difference between good psych testing and bad psych testing is years of your kids/your life wasted. And to add, formal psych testing is not simply a diagnosis. It includes multiple days, around 3, of actual testing for 3 to 4 hours each, family interviews, discussion with the patient, and a formal 20-plus page written analysis of the test results in the context of the discussions with the patient and the family interviews. This was something I wasn't aware of, and I figured there's a good chance that some of you in my audience may not also be aware of this, and this could help you down your path if you are looking to get yourself or, your child psychologically evaluated. Overall, though, I'm very happy that OP is making progress with their son, because that is definitely a fear of mine that despite trying everything, that things just don't go right. And it's interesting how just something as simple as trying to get their son to stop destroying the house with a firm voice potentially escalated this into what it became. Something as simple as that was just off the radar as a possibility for what caused it. Also, I 100% sympathize and understand OP getting fucking insane comments that are just completely out of left field. Thankfully, the spam filter catches most of them. Hey everyone, welcome to the outro. Right now, GamerSubs is actually doing a free shipping promotion deal, so instead of the usual 10% off, you get free shipping. When using code OZ at checkout, of course. This is perfect for those of you who don't live in the States and want to do an order with GamerSubs, but don't want to pay the exorbitant fee of the shipping costs. This promotion is lasting from May 16th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to May 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to take advantage of this while you still can. Seriously, take advantage of it.